Here I list some of the deeper philosophical questions that further compounded my views on religion, and are some of the questions we discussed up until 4 AM when you were here. 1. What was the point for God in creating the human race? Are we just a bit of fun? A type of game or thought experiment for him? 2. Why did he send all the named prophets from the Quran, i.e. Adam, Idris, Noah, etc., and Muhammad, to just one relatively tiny and underpopulated part of the world, namely Arabia? Were no others across the globe worthy of receiving this message direct from the messengers, rather than relying on a book produced from hearsay contained on leaves and bones? 3. How could an all-loving God, who is kinder and more compassionate than us, send anyone to burn in hell for eternity? We sin for at most for a lifetime, so how can a finite sin be punished with infinite suffering? Where is the justice when we've only sinned for a certain number of years? As a fallible human being, I certainly would not wish that on anyone, not even my worst enemy. Shouldn't the punishment fit the crime? And where is God's much celebrated mercy? And don't the wrong people, according to the scriptures, have a greater tendency to go to heaven? Would those who were more selfishly disposed allocate more of their free time to devotion in order to reap their personal rewards in heaven? And those who were more carefree spend a lesser proportion of their lives dedicated to being subservient and have a greater chance of going to hell? Should it not be the other way around? Why doesn't God just eliminate the devil, as it is the devil that is partly the cause of our problems, particularly in the case of weaker-minded individuals? Why did he create us imperfect, with such psychological and physical imperfections? For example, providing men with a foreskin and then request that we surgically remove it at birth. Why would God allow some perfectly good and honest people to starve or suffer grave misfortune, and other bad people to lead perfectly happy and rewarding lives? Why not punish or reward us during our lifetimes so we learn from our actions and improve? This would make the human race more inclined to believe in an invisible God and his powers of justice, make them better Muslims, and be a means of encouraging a better society. I remember people falling ill, sometimes even dying on Hajj, and was another thing I remember struggling with when I was a child and still a Muslim. At the very least, you would have hoped God would intervene and stop people suffering because they decided to go on a pilgrimage as their duty towards him. 5. If he really wanted us to believe in him, then there would be no reason for him to remain invisible. Why not show some evidence, for example by ensuring all copies of the Quran levitated and magically flipped over their pages, in which case people like me would revert back to Islam in an instant. 6. Let's take the two commonly cited arguments by Muslims that is a byproduct of humanism or lack of religion, and that is, it will lead to an increase in crime and immorality. Regardless of whether this statement is true or not, it still does not make Islam true. In any case, let's take each point separately. Crime. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons in 1997, incidentally, some statistics also show that secular nations, such as the Scandinavian countries, have less crime, give more to charity, and are at peace with one another more than other religious countries, even the commonly cited Saudi Arabia. Morality. A quick search on Google search trends will show the highest traffic looking for the words nude pics actually comes from Pakistan, which is about twice as many as the next country down the list, India, which has 6 times its population. The highest traffic looking for online porn in the US comes from the overtly religious and conservative Utah. My point is not that religion promotes this behavior, but that restricting freedoms does not suppress human nature and only serves to camouflage it or drive it underground, thus making it even harder to control. 7. Let's make the assumption that all human beings around the earth are equal at birth. Some born in a Christian family, some Hindu, some Buddhist. If you were to analyse these groups of people across the globe and segmented them by religion, you will find certain characteristic traits emerge. These traits, positive or negative, can only be down to the cultures that have resulted, often as a direct consequence of the religions themselves. This is an important point, as followers often blame Muslims for not following the religion correctly, thus insinuating that Muslims are less capable as a people of following a good code of life than other human beings, and therefore not equal. This cannot be the case. We are all equal to begin with, and it can only be down to the religions and their resultant cultures that have created such differences in the first place. 8. Let's take the hypothesis that there was no religion on the planet. Firstly, there would be less reason for people to argue and fight over. Like Steven Weinberg, Nobel laureate in physics, said. Secondly, religion would again breed, probably quicker in the developing world than elsewhere, given the human requirement for an infallible crutch to believe in. To some it gives hope, to others it provides a purpose. This can be proven by the fact that the multitude of different religions worshipping anything from stone gods to human gods to animal gods, yet all claiming that their followers being convinced that they are the one and only true religion. This is all highlighted by the cults that became ever so popular, even in recent times in the developed world. For example, when David Koresh from the US, whilst claiming he was a prophet, caused the death of over 70 followers who fought to the end against the FBI. They were just a group of disenfranchised individuals before they met him. 9. If we were to invent another god, let's say it was the fairy at the bottom of my garden, as popularised by Dawkins, and we were asked to have faith in its existence, or face eternal torture upon death, then let's put together a sacred text surrounding the exploits of this little fairy, perhaps even more convincing, and let's make it more robust than some of the other religious texts around at the moment. Then for sure, 10 generations down the line, and with 1,000 adherents, the members of this cult would no longer be classified as foolish, but as followers who need to have their religion respected. And by the way, do not mock this fairy, because if you don't believe that it created the universe, then I am sorry, you will also be burned in hell. This may seem a little far-fetched, but let's not forget people in recent times followed David Koresh in the USA and burned themselves alive after he claimed prophecy. Or the Bakuba tribe in Africa believed that the giant Mabombo god vomited out the world upon feeling a stomachache. Or in ancient Egypt, where they believed that the sun Atum-Ra created twin gods by masturbating. The point is, serious debate about religion should not start with any religious text, Christian, Muslim, or any other flavour. It should start with logic, reason, and rational thinking.